Supplemental math videos from Circle Christian School.
Angle relationships. These are very special angles that you really need to know exactly what's happening with these angles all the way through geometry. So you need to make them your special angle friends. I got an angle, you got an angle, hey, hey, hey. Kind of comes from Little Rascals, but there was a pickle involved. Complementary angles are two adjacent angles. That's two angles that are right next to each other. Just like you and your adjacent neighbor, you end up sharing a fence between the two of you, but you're right next door to each other. Complementary angles equal 90 degrees, equal a right angle. So it's two angles that, when you add them together using the angle addition postulate, always equal 90 degrees. So for instance, if my first angle equaled 30 degrees, then my second angle would have to equal 60 degrees, because when we add them together, they equal 90 degrees. The next one is supplementary angles. Those are angles that equal a straight line, which that one's not really a straight line, but pretend it is. Magic of dry erase kind of stuff. That when they're adjacent to each other, they actually equal 180 degrees when you add them together using the angle addition postulate. So let's say the first angle equals 75 degrees, then the other angle is going to equal 180 degrees minus the 75 degrees, which, using your mental math, would be 105 degrees. Now, one of the ways that I remember that complementary equals 90 and supplementary equals 180 is just a method of realizing that C comes before the S and 90 comes or is lower than before the 180. So the C, which is low, equals a lower value, while the S, which is further along in the alphabet number line, equals 180. You can find your own special way to relate to how you can remember that complementaries are 90 and supplementaries are 180. A linear pair is a pair of angles that are supplementary. So a linear pair always equals 180 degrees. And it's called a linear pair because when you put the two angles together, they make that cute little straight line. And again, depending on what the value is of the first one added to the second one, using the angle addition postulate, that they will just always equal 180 degrees. Vertical angles are when you have two intersecting lines. And again, when we talk angles, we're talking about the space in between them. Not how long the line is, but how far it is from ray to ray. Vertical angles are always congruent, the guys opposite each other. And because they're congruent, you can set up a relationship between the two angles being congruent to each other. So we're going to call this angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, and angle 4. With vertical angles, that angle 1 would be congruent to angle 3, and angle 2 would be congruent to angle 4. Now what's interesting here is that actually we have angles that produce a linear pair, because a linear pair equals 180 degrees and also makes a straight line. So we have several linear pairs here. So if we were to add angle 1 with angle 4, it would equal 180 degrees because it's a linear pair. And then we can move to the next ones, which would be angle 4 and angle 3. We would add them together and they would make another linear pair at 180 degrees. Following again that same theory, we could take angle 3 and add it to angle 2, and it too is going to equal 180 degrees. And lastly, we can take angle 2 and add it to angle 1, and it too will equal 180 degrees because they're a linear pair. Now the deal behind all this is learning what the 4 special angles do, because they're going to allow you to set your equations using the angle addition postulate to either equaling 90 degrees if they're complementary. Realize I know this sounds like it's an I, but it's an E, and our southern drawl just kind of makes it be like an I. We can have supplementary angles that when you add them together always equal 180 degrees, so they can be supplementary. We can have a linear pair that when you add them together always equal 180 degrees. And lastly, we can have, my cursor's getting kind of funky there. Maybe I can make it nice. Let's just get rid of the R and we'll make it right. And then we have vertical angles that are equal to each other. Vertical equals the opposite vertical. So they're congruent to each other. And this allows us to be able to set up the algebra. If we know what the special angle properties are, then we can set up the algebra, which I know you love, and do these all day long. Okay, go out and make little angel, angle, friend, funness.